All right, so today we're going to be doing lecture 15, equations test. This is going to be the test with the 10 questions on it, and I'm going to be doing the odd ones with you, and I'll let you do the even ones on your own. So let's take a look at that. Now at the bottom of the paper, I've got an answer box where you can kind of look at it and see if you got the right answer. If it shows up and you think you got it, go ahead and mark it off so you know you've already used it. Now for each question, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be solving for the variable. Solving for the variable. That's the first thing you'll do. And then the second thing is you're going to take your answer and you're going to put it inside of a solution set. And then the last thing we're going to do is we're going to check the solution. All right, so number one, they give us 1 equals v plus 11. V is going to be my variable. I need to get it by itself on one of the sides. And since it's already on the right side, I'm going to see if I can get rid of everything except for the v. So that means I need to get rid of this 11 right here. So since it's being added, I'm going to do the opposite of that to get rid of it. I'm going to subtract it from both sides. So what that's going to do is it's going to cancel out the 11 on the right side. So these are going to get crossed out. So now v is the only thing that's on the right side. And then on the left side, I have 1 minus 11, and that's going to give me negative 10. That's going to be my answer. So now that I've got my answer, I put it inside of a solution set. And then the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to check it to make sure that it works. When you check it, I want you to start off with your original equation. 1 equals v plus 11. And I'm going to take that original equation and I'm going to let v be my answer, negative 10. So I'm going to replace v with a negative 10. Everything else is going to stay the same. And then I'm going to work out the right side until I get a true statement at the end. We've got negative 10 plus 11. That's going to give me 1. So I get 1 equals 1. That's my true statement. If you get a true statement, that means you got the right answer. If not, that means you need to go back and see what you did wrong. So that's number 1. And this is called a one-step equation because we only needed to do one thing to get the variable by itself. All right, let's look at number 3. Number 3 is going to be a two-step equation because I'm going to have 2 things that I need to do to get the x by itself. Let's take a look at that. All right, so number 3 says 11 equals 8 plus 3x. What I want to do is I want to get the x by itself. That means I need to get rid of the 3 and the 8. And I'm going to get rid of the 8 first. So since the 8 is already positive, I need to subtract 8 from both sides. So when I do that, the 8s are going to cancel out on this side. and I'm only left with a 3x. On the other side, I have 11 minus 8. That's going to give me 3. So now the last thing I need to do is get rid of the 3 that's in front of the x. Since I'm multiplying 3 by x, I need to do the opposite of multiplying to get rid of it. I need to do division. So I'm going to divide both sides by 3. That'll cancel out the 3's on this side, leaving me with x equals 1. That's 3 divided by 3. So inside my solution set, I'm just going to have a 1. On the right side, we're going to check to make sure that this one works. And when I check, I always start off with my original equation, that 11 equals 8 plus 3x. I'm going to let x be my answer that I got. So I'm going to let x be 1 and see what happens. So I replace x with a 1. On the right side, I have 3 times 1. That's going to be 3. And then 8 plus 3 is going to give me that 11. So I get a true statement. Now, since we had to do 2 things to get x by itself, we call this a two-step equation. It's a two-step equation. That means we needed to do 2 things to get x by itself. We had to subtract the 8 and then divide by the 3. Okay, let's look at number 5. Number 5 gives us negative 20 equals r plus 3r. So for this one, I've got 2 terms on the right side, r and 3r. We can assume that there's a 1 in front of this first r. And since they both end with a variable, I'm going to underline them because they are like terms. And since they're like terms, I can add them up. 1r plus 3r is going to give me 4r. And the negative 20 is going to stay the same for now. So once I combine like terms, what I need to do now is get the r by itself by dividing both sides by 4. That way the 4's cancel, and I'm left with r equals negative 20 divided by 4. That's going to be negative 5. So that's my answer. That's going to go inside my solution set. Okay, so on the right side, I'm going to check my work. When I do that, I always start off with my original equation. Negative 20 equals r plus 3r. And I'm going to let r be negative 5. So now what I'm doing is I'm letting r be negative 5. So everywhere I see an r, I'm going to replace it with a negative 5 and see what happens. So this r becomes a negative 5, and this r is going to become a negative 5. On the right side, I have 3 times negative 5. That's going to give me negative 15. So now on the right side, I can add up those two negative numbers, and I'm going to get a negative number in return, a negative 20. And that's my true statement. So I know that negative 5 is going to work for this one. Okay. So this is one of these where it's actually a one-step equation because you had to divide by 4, but you wouldn't have known it was a one-step equation if you didn't first combine like terms. Let's look at the next one, number 7. This one is a little bit different from the others. It is 6 times negative 8b plus 4 is equal to negative 120. Now for this one, there's a couple ways I can do it. The first way I can do it is by doing the distributive property. Notice that we have a number on the outside, a 6, and we have two terms on the inside. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply everything on the inside by what's on the outside. Six times negative 8b is going to give me negative 48b. And 6 times 4 is going to give me 24. The right side is going to stay the same for now. So what we have now is a two-step equation. I'm going to solve it in 2 steps. The first thing I need to get rid of is the plus 24 right here. And then I need to get rid of the negative 48 over here. We'll do that last. So to get rid of a positive 24, I'm going to subtract 24 from both sides. When that happens, they're going to cancel out on the left side, and I'm only left with a negative 48b. On the other side, if I add these two numbers up, I'm going to get negative 144. So the last thing I need to do is divide both sides by negative 48. So that way, we'll get the variable by itself. They cancel out on the left side, so I'm only left with the b. And then on the right side, I've got negative 144 divided by negative 48. That's going to give me a positive number, since I've got a negative divided by a negative. And it's going to be a positive 3. That's going to go inside my solution set. Okay, so I guess you could call this a 3-step equation, but it really is a 2-step equation in disguise because we did the distributive property first. Let's go ahead and check our answer now. I'll do that on the right side. So when we check, we're always going to start off with our original equation. The 6 times negative 8b plus 4 is equal to negative 120. So this is my original equation. What I'm going to do is I'm going to let b be equal to 3. So I'm going to have negative 8 times 3 plus 4 on the inside. And I can simplify that a little bit. Notice that negative 8 times 3 is negative 24. Everything else stays the same for now. And I can add the two numbers on the inside now. And I get negative 20. And then the last thing I need to do is multiply by 6 to get negative 120. And that's going to be my true statement. Okay, so we just checked our work. We got our true statement. What I'm going to show you next is another way that you can go about solving this. And I'm going to do that on the next slide. So looking at number 7 again, I'll write it out. And I'll show you an alternate way that you can do it. Now, first of all, notice that we have a 6 on the outside. So we're multiplying everything on the inside by 6. So what I can do is I can do the opposite of multiplying, which is dividing. I can divide both sides by 6. So this is just another way of doing it. And you should get the same answer at the end. The 6's cancel out, and you're only left with negative 8b plus 4. And then on the right side, you're going to get negative 20. And then you would subtract 4 from both sides and then divide by negative 8. So if I do that, I get b equals positive 3 again. So that's just another way that you can go about doing it without having to do the distributive property. Let's look at the last one we're going to do, number 9. So for number 9, I'm going to have a variable on both sides, and I'll show you how to do this one. So we've got negative 7p minus 11 is equal to negative 5 on the outside. On the inside, I'm going to have 3p plus 7. Okay, so there are a couple ways you can do this, but ultimately you want to get the p terms on one side together. The first thing that I can do is I can do the distributive property on the right-hand side. So I can multiply everything on the inside by a negative 5. When I do that, I get negative 15p minus 35. But the left side is going to stay the same. We haven't done anything to that yet. All right, so after distributing the negative 5, what I notice is I have variables on both sides, but eventually I want to get to a place where I have all the variables on the left side and I have all the numbers on the other side. So I need to get rid of this negative 15p. I can get rid of that by adding 15p to both sides. So when I do that, they cancel out on the right side, and I'm only left with a negative 35 that I brought down. But what's going to happen on the left side? I'm going to have 15p plus negative 7p. That's going to give me 8p. And then I'm going to bring down the minus 11. Now I have a two-step equation. A two-step equation. So to do this, I need to get the variable by itself, which means I need to get rid of the minus 11, but I also need to get rid of the 8. We'll do the 11 first. To do that, I'm going to add 11 to both sides. What that's going to do is it's going to cancel out the 11s on the left side. And on the right side, I'm going to have all the numbers. Negative 35 plus 11 is going to give me negative 24, because the biggest number is negative. Now on the left side, since I canceled out the 11s, I'm only left with 8p. And I can get rid of the 8 by dividing both sides by 8. And I get p equals negative 3. That'll be inside my solution set. So now I want to make sure that the negative 3 actually works. So when we check our answer, we're going to start off with the original equation that they gave us, and we're just going to let p be negative 3 and see what happens. And we'll do that on the next slide. So for number 9, we're going to check our answer. Our original equation was negative 7p minus 11. And on the right side, we had negative 5 times 3p plus 7. And I'm going to check to make sure that the negative 3 actually works. So I'm going to replace every variable with a negative 3, but keep all the numbers the same. So let's work on the left side first. I've got negative 7 times negative 3. That's going to give me a positive 21. So I get 21 minus 11. On the right side, I'm going to have that negative 5. But on the inside, I have 3 times negative 3. That's going to give you negative 9. And I still have to add that to 7. Now back on the left side, I have 21 minus 11. That's going to give you 10. On the right side, once I add up these two numbers, I'm going to get negative 2. And then negative 5 times negative 2 is going to give me positive 10. So I get that true statement. So for all the questions on this test, you're going to be doing 3 things. You're going to be solving for the variable. You're going to be writing a solution set. and then you're going to be checking your work. And I'll be looking for all three of those. Now, we just did all the odd numbers. The even numbers are for you to do. Be aware that the questions kind of match up. So 1 and 2 are done in the same way. 3 and 4 are done in the same way, and so on and so forth like that. Okay, that's all I have to cover today. If you have any questions about today's lecture or any questions about the tests, go ahead and drop them down in the chat box now, and I will get to you very soon. Have a great day, and I will see you next week.